Well, it's Tuesday, and you all know what that means. As you know, we have NXT. We're only possibly a week away or so for Halloween Havoc, so a lot of battle lines are being drawn. So we just don't know exactly how things are going to go, but we're going to have some interesting matches. We do have the team up between Julia and Stephanie Vakir taking on the members of Fatal Influence. So that's going to be one killer of a match. But first things first, we're going to be reviewing this past Friday's CML event, Viernes Espectacular, or should we say Spectacular Friday, featuring many matches. One of them is, of course, is the CML Women's World Tag Team titles defended, including a tournament that took place and various other things as well. So, and then we cap up our episode with some news updates to give you guys update on what's been happening in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If certain information was unable to be on this episode, I can put it on the next episode or on a separate video by itself. We also, of course, do real-timing news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also, of course, got the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool wrestling content as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us or click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on a like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside, full speed ahead. So, let's begin with our first review, CMLL. CMLL. It's been a while since I actually did one of these reviews. Now, this is one of the much recent events that took place this past Friday on the 18th of October. So there's a lot of things that are going to take place. Now, our first two matches are involved in 2 out of 3 falls. Now, those who know this or not about CML, they have matches where it's only 2 out of 3 falls, and of course, just one fall type of match. So basically, that's what it is. However, this is one of those. These two matches are of that 2 out of 3 falls. The first one is a trios match, actually, out of 2 out of 3 falls, involving a group called La Ola Negra or the Wing or the Black Wing or something like that, consistent of Ryder, Dark Magic, and Espanto Jr. They face against Pelon Expulsiado and of course los Viajeros de Espacia, which is the Travelers in Space, something like that, featuring Max Star and Futuro, which means future. So yeah, the match was pretty good. There was a lot of high spots, but the team that actually won the 2 out of 3 falls on this one was Pelon and Viajeros de Espacio after they finished the match with a triple pinfall. Yeah, all three guys actually put them in away, so that kind of fits in the profile that way. Now, our second match involving the 2 out of 3 falls is a women's 8-woman tag match. Team number 1, we have Samantha Black, all the way from Costa Rica. Viva Van, many of you may know her. She is a Californian girl, veteran descent, Vietnamese descent. We have Alex Windsor, a British wrestler, also Will Ospreay's wife, and of course the current ROH Women's World Television Champion, Red Velvet. Their opponents are Metallica, Olympia, Ampalona, and Selene. Now, the first round actually ended with, of course, team number 1, which is, of course, Samantha, Viva, Alex, and Red. So that goes out, and then, of course, the second fall goes to Metallic, Olympia, Amapula, and, of course, Selene. But however, it was team number 1, the ones who won the first round, that actually picked up the win, and that's how it ended. Now, our next match, this was a championship match. This is for the CML Women's World Tag Team titles. It's more of the Japan versus Mexico. Representing Japan, we have all the way from GTO, Sumika Yamagawa, and of course our resident favorite eel, Unagi Sayaka. So yeah, they face against the champions Yuvia and Tessa Blanchard. So I was pretty much invested in this match a whole lot because, of course, I would never expect it, of course, for Unagi to team up with Sumika because, as you know, she is a bit of a different type of wrestler, but she can bond with anybody. But, however, just to put on record, this is not a match where it is a 2 out of 3 falls. This is a straight up 1 fall match. So basically, however, you probably, for all those Unagi Sayaka fans, would think she was going to win this one. Nope. She was the one who ended up losing in the pinfall, all thanks to Yuvia allowing for her and Tessa to remain champions. Now, our next match is another 2 out of 3 falls, featuring Los Guerreros Laguneros, consisting of Stuka Jr., Ultimo Guerrero, and Gran Guerrero, facing Neon, Atlantis Jr., and of course, Mystico. So, of course, the first round was going to go to Los Guerreros because that's always been. But second round goes to Neon and Atlantis Jr. Mystico. But it was Mystico who made the initial win on the third fall when he applied La Mística on Ultimo Guerrero, giving him the win. Now, our next match, this one is between Toni Storm and La Catalina. Now, for the record also, this one is not a 2 out of 3 falls match, in case anybody asks. Some of you probably would have assumed that Toni Storm would have won this match. I mean, most likely I would have agreed. But it was Catalina with the crossbody that actually allowed the win. And of course, Toni Storm, being dramatic over the loss, just left. You know, of course, people in Mexico were booing her, which is expectedly because that's what's going to happen in Mexico. Now, our next main event is for the CML Universal de Amazonia's final match. Features Zeuxis. Many of you remember she used to be Stephanie Vakir's tag team partner. Her opponent is Persephone. And the match was pretty good, I'm not going to lie. But Persephone actually did something really cool. She applied a springboard frog splash that, in fact, allowed her to win the match. So, match went pretty well. So, I give it that. So I think that's pretty much it with this one. I believe it's time to do our last and final review, NXT. Well, as you all know, Halloween Havoc is just around the corner. A lot of things will take place. Now, our first match, we have a women's tag match. We have Damage Control, consistent of Io Sky and, of course, Kairi Sane, taking on Metaphor, consistent of Lash Legend and, of course, Jakara Jackson. Now, of course, you would have assumed this match would have brought a good impact. But, however, because of what happened in the previously, either on Raw or SmackDown, it seems that Chelsea Green and Piper Niven were not going to let this go. This match in a no contest, attacking everyone. So that kind of sets it up right there. Now, earlier in the day, we did see Hank and Tank having a little bit fun with some fans, and they met Cole Custer. And then, of course, the party was interrupted by none other than OTM. Big mistake. So we will see OTM versus, of course, Hank and Tank. That's going to be a lot of fun. Now, as always, so Ruka, Brinley Reese were having a little chat with Carmen Petrovic because of her situation with Ashanti the Adonis. As you all remember, he cost her one of her matches, and then she cost him a match, that sort of thing. So Ashanti the Adonis can just let it go. He decides to hit again with Carmen Petrovic. It's like, just cut your losses, player. So we'll see what happens. Now, our next match, we have Jada Parker taking on Tatum Paxley. Of course, Paxley, as you know, she was not happy recently when her interview was interrupted by Jada Parker, so this is more like returning a favor. But however, she was able to pick up the win by hip attack on Tatum Paxley, winning the match. However, Lola Vice, who still has an axe to grind, showed up in order to deal with her. But while that was happening, Tatum Paxley was attacked by someone who she thought was her former friend, Wendy Chu, choke her out and then put her on the box. Now, I don't know what's the deal going on with her now, but it seems like they're telling the story. Now, of course, as you all know, last week we did see Lexis King, who is now, how do I say this, turning a new leaf. He won the Gentleman's Rule match that was set up, of course, with the advice from Charlie Dempsey. So basically, it was more like he owed him a favor, so he wants a shot of the Heritage Cup. So, but Ren Sinclair kind of reminded him that he needs the corner man. So, much of the entirety of the event, of course, Lexis King was trying to find a corner man, but nobody wants to do it. So, we'll see what happens. Now, of course, as you all know what happened, Javon Evans hasn't forgotten what Frazier did. You know, as you all know, David Frazier is becoming a total hothead. Well, Javon Evans gave him a bitch slap, and that's how things ended. And then, of course, Wesley got into his face, tried to do something, probably thinking that Javon Evans was nowhere near ready to become the NXT champion, but we'll see what happens. Now, ahead of Luca Crucifino's match with Boba Femi, apparently Andrea Rizzo was hurt. Nobody knows why or where. However, the Don told Luca to go into the ring and deal with Boba Femi. So Luca agreed. He told him that he would send a direct message to him. Now, into that match, of course, Boba Femi versus Luca Crucifino, you would think that things were going to be interesting. It kind of did, because Boba Femi, as you know, was a force of nature, but he did put him away with the pop-up powerbomb, sending a direct message towards the Don. But however, as soon as he won the match, he decided to leave a little destruction by destroying both Luca and Stax. However, he wasn't determined to destroy the Don. He was determined to destroy those around him. So it makes you wonder, did he had something to do with Andrea Rizzo being attacked? That is a very good, valid question. That's something we just have to wait and see. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, of course, we did see a video promo coming from none other than Andre Chase. As you know, he is pissed off to the core after being attacked by Rich Holland. So he made it perfectly clear that he will deal with them in Halloween Havoc in an ambulance match. So that's going to be interesting to see. Now, of course, as you all know, Ethan Page is the #1 contender to the challenge for the NXT title to reclaim it after losing to Trick Williams. So, of course, we saw now a different version of this one. Remember, Trick Williams went through that same experience. So, however, we'll see what happens. Now, remember, their match will be a Devil's Playgrounds match. So, we will see where that leads us. Now, as you know, we did see Roxanne Perez and her BFF Cora Jade talking, but Fatal Influence seems like they're on the same page, because they still consider Julia and Stephanie Vakir as rookies, so they claim that they will not make a bigger impact as them, like they're trying to stay clone. I think many people are considering that maybe for some odd reason all 5 of these ladies will form like some sort of a faction. So we'll see where that leads us from there. Our next match, we have Soruka versus Carmen Petrovic. So, nothing too fancy or anything, but however, as any other type of match, well, effing Adonis did it again. He decided to get involved. Carmen Petrovic got distracted, and just like that, she got soul snatched right there. I'm sure Soul didn't mean for it, but the old saying goes, don't lose eyes on the ball, and that's exactly what happened. I'm sure Carmen is not going to blame Soruka, even though Soruka would say you would have done the same thing too if you were in my shoes. So I'm sure Carmen would agree with her, but the one thing she cannot agree is the fact that effing Adonis getting involved. So we'll see what happens. Now, of course, we see Nikita Lyons talking with Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Eway, talking about opportunities. So basically, there's that. However, of course, Obafemi shows up to give her her little jacket. So we'll see what happens from there on with those guys. Now, our next match, we have OTM, Lucian Price and Bronco Lima. They take on Hank and Tank Connection, along with Cole Custer, who's in ringside. Now, of course, this was going to be an interesting match, but however, of course, Jada Parker was going to get involved and somehow, but however, she got her ass handed to her by Lola Vice. But the sweetest thing that happened is when Cole Custer used his helmet attacking Lima, and just like that, they ended up in the crash course, and the collision course, and that ended right there. 1, 2, 3, picking up the win. Now, we did see an interview with Tony D'Angelo. Of course, he's not happy with the results of what transpired with Andrea being attacked, Stax, and Lucas. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, before our next match started, we did see, of course, Julia and Stephanie Vikir bump into Kairi Sane and Io Sky. So that's going to be a very interesting thing to watch. So we'll see where that goes from there. Now, our main event is, of course, a Fatal Influence consistent of Jay-Z Jane and Fallon Henning, along with the Tramp, Jasmine Nix. They take on Julia and Stephanie Vakir. However, I have to say, Julia and Stephanie have been very, very cohesion. I have to say they really learned great. But, of course, the X Factor is Jasmine Nix getting involved. Luckily, Kalena Jordan took matters in her own hands and cleaned house, giving, of course, Julia and Stephanie Vakir winning the match when Stephanie applied like a bone backbreaker onto Henley. However, a deal was a deal. Basically, they set out the fate for, of course, Kalani Jordan. As you know, they were running their mouths saying that Kalani Jordan has been ducking them. Bullshit. Nope, she was not, of course, ducking them. They're just complaining and talking. So they spin the wheel, and apparently they put the spinner's choice. Before they make the decision, that's when everything has changed. Many of us has expecting when she was going to appear, and she just appeared. That person turned out to be none other than Zaria, or as we formerly know her in Australia, Delta. So this is going to be interesting shift in, of course, the women's division. But if I'm, of course, Roxanne Perez, I would say I would be more concerned. So we'll see what happens from there on. So right now we are done with NXT, so let's move on with our last and final thing we're going to do, news updates. Alrighty then, so welcome to our news update. So let's get started. Let's begin with upcoming events with the promotions. As always, we start with GCW since they got a stack load of it. As you know, they will be here in San Diego for Monster Bash. They just announced another match. We have Effie versus Rob Shit. So yeah, so that's going to be. And then of course for Bloodsport on the 24th of November, it was announced Josh Barnett, the guy who's running things with Bloodsport, he takes on MVP. So that's going to be fun. And then once again, the People versus GCW, this time going to court, is none other than Brandon Kirk. So it's like so we'll see. French promotion Banger Zone Wrestling has announced for the Friday Night Banger taking place on the 1st of November. The sensational Leon Slater will be participating. MLW for Lucha Apoteblito taking place on the 9th of November. They announced that the MLW World Women's Featherweight title will be defended. Janai Kai will defend it in a three-way match featuring Yuvia and Persephone. Then, of course, as you know, we got the latest historic crossover between New Japan and Stardom. And people were wondering if this was going to happen. Looks like it is. We have Taichi. He teams up with Natsupoi once again, taking on Tekla and Clark Connors. Now, if you guys remember, during a prelim before Natsupoi defended the white belt against Tekla, Clark Connors speared her. So this was something that I think many fans were expecting. It turns out that Taichi will be helping her out for this one this time. For Ladies' Night Out, taking place on December 1st, we have Vipers will be involved. And then, as you know, on January 1st, starting 2025, Prestige Wrestling Roseland 10, Masato Tanaka will be involved in this one. Now for some interesting developments. Christy Hemme, many of you remember her back in WWE and TNA. Well, Fightful Select reports that she has rejoined TNA as head of marketing. Good for her. So most likely we'll not see her in, of course, on television. But it's great that she took a big part of being TNA of that. Don't forget, she was part of TNA as a member of the roster. Now for some interesting news. Many of you remember recently I reported about, there were reports saying that Adam Cole and Britt Baker were no longer together. Now, of course, we heard this from Conan, but we wanted to hear it from the horse's mouth. It turns out that, of course, Adam Cole revealed that they are no longer together from what they said, and he said this with Sports Illustrated. So let me pull out what he said here. So this is what he said. We are no longer a couple, but when I say that we both still love each other, and we're still friends, and we still support each other, that could be not more true. So yeah, so basically it's confirmed 100%. Now, I only said that I could not take this from the grain of salt with Conan, because I rather hear this from the mouth, because Conan would do everything in his power to try to damage AEW's image or whatever. But anyway, Dave Meltzer actually said something, and I think many of you started to dislike Meltzer for what he says these days. And this is what he said. She's been thinking about it, WWE exit. About a year, she wants to be no, never mind, that's not the right one. Never mind. There was something, of course, that he talked about. My bad. He said about her, Adam Cole and the relationship and that sort of thing. I don't know. I thought I saved it, but that one was from the Samantha Irvin one. I forgot to delete. Anyway, so that's what happened. Well, let me see if I can find it. No, that's not it. So anyway, yeah. So that's what I've been hearing, But we'll see what happens. Hopefully things will go well between both Adam Cole and Britt Baker. Not they're not together. We'll see how things will roll. But for now, let's just call it a day. Okay, I think that's pretty much it what we have. So I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have AEW Dynamite. Can't wait to see how things will roll up with, of course, some upcoming storylines and matches we're going to do. I haven't decided yet what to do. Now, I am behind a bit on certain events. We'll see if we can catch up with it. So, that's pretty much what we have. But until then, I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day. Bang.